All games have gone under. When playing against teams with winning records after the 15-game mark, 10-3 against the spread. Some pretty impressive numbers by Texas there. The motivation factor is definitely there. We all know Cameron Ridley's still out. And I think every single week when the new poll comes out, either on Monday or Tuesday, a top 3 team loses. And it just sets up that way with the way the Big 12 is and everything like that. I think you probably get more of the same here. I think Texas probably chips them off today. Would not surprise me whatsoever. They get their 20th win. They're the only ranked team that doesn't have 20 wins, which is it says a lot about their schedule and a lot about the respect that they have. I think they get it done today and nip Kansas off. I think either way, Kansas is going to get a 1 seed. They will have the 1 seed out of the Big 12. So not as a big game for them as it is for Texas. The other game, Syracuse at North Carolina, right? Carolina, big favorites here, 13 points. You look at the last time they were 12 or more point favorites this year. They're 11-0 straight up, but 4-7 ATS. Not very good. You look at some trends with Syracuse. More importantly, right? When the total is 140 or higher this year, and it's sitting at 145 right now. When it's between 140 and 150, right? The under is 6-0. It's 10-1 in the last three years when you get a high total with Syracuse, right? And unfortunately, though, the last time these guys played, it went over, right? It was a pretty high-paced game. Syracuse, despite right when Boeheim came back, they were playing a lot of unders. The defense hasn't been great, and they've been playing a little more upbeat, I should say. They came off 2 losses against Louisville and Pittsburgh. You look at them on the road, take away that loss against Louisville. On the road against BC, they win. At Virginia, they lose, but they cover, less than 10-point game. They go to Duke as a 11.5-point dog. They win that game. They go to Wake as a 2-point dog. They win that game. Out in Miami, they lose by 13, but still, they would still cover that one. St. John's, they would have covered this number. At Georgetown, they would have covered this number. Every game this year, except for the one out in Louisville, most recently, on the road, they would cover this number that it is today. Now, I get it. They're not playing a team like North Carolina every time, but let's look at North Carolina recently at home. Their most recent one against Miami, and remind you, they're coming off of a loss against Virginia, and we'll get into that also. Coming off of a loss, do they bounce back very well? Not often, really. But at home against Duke, they lose. Against Pittsburgh, they blew the doors off of them. BC, they beat them pretty well. Point being, they do blow teams out at home. Boeheim needs this win. It's a big game for Syracuse. I just worry about, maybe Syracuse making a game of it, which I see a lot with them. But then down the stretch, they can't make the baskets to keep it close. And next thing you know, what was a close game is no longer one. Right? You look at Syracuse in the first half, ATS on the road versus good offensive teams that score at least 77 points a game. Against the first half number, 12-1 ATS, right? Again, 22-5 over the last 3 years in the same spot. If you play on Syracuse when they're coming off 1 day or less rest this year, 4-0. Very good team when it comes to that. And then since 1997, since Boeheim has been there, really, when you look at Syracuse on the road when they're playing with 1 day or less rest, on the money line, 57-30. If I was to take a shot with them, I would take the first half. I would even think about taking, as crazy as it sounds, Syracuse first half team total over. Why? Because they do have a lot of success on the road, even as a dog or whatever, in this spot, right? But also North Carolina, when they're playing on 1 day or less rest in the first half, the over 17-4 over the last 3 years. So expect a little bit of high scoring early, and I think Syracuse might hang around with them. But we shall see. We shall see. So that's that. We got one client play today, and it's in the Iowa State-Oklahoma State game. So we won't touch on that one, which leaves us with Tennessee Chattanooga and my newfound friends of VMI. We've been on VMI the last 2 games against Mercer and the Citadel and cashed them both, which is pretty weird considering that's the first time they've won 2 in a row. They did it one other time this year. They're a bad team. Like, let's face it, they were like 2-17 going into those 2 games. We took them on the money line again today against UT Chattanooga. I believe it's Chattanooga's last game. Yeah, it is. They lost Casey Jones out for the season with an ankle injury against, Stanford. They really haven't been playing as well since they sort of wrapped everything up. VMI's catching fire at the right time. I'm not telling you it's a new week on your book, or if it's the last week on your book, whatever. I'm not telling you to go out there and definitely play this play. I'm telling you, I'm going to take a shot with VMI here. Maybe split my bet between the plus 12.5 and take a shot with VMI on the money line. As crazy it might sound to people, you got a 2-12. A 25-5 team going up against a 9-19 team. I get that. I'm just saying VMI has been good to me. They've been overachieving lately. They're at home against a team that really doesn't need to be there. And overall they're 8-5 at home. All their wins except for one came at home. Their scoring's up. Their defense. Not so much, but I'm going to take my shot with them. And yes, I do know Chattanooga blew the doors off them as of late, but still. All right. What do we got going in the Red Sox? 2-0 lead, unfortunately, here. Tell you, it took the Red Sox a while to score. Oh, my God, another error by Northeastern in the corner there. Not a good thing. So that's that. Now, let's get into some of this other thing. This is what I love. All right, let me introduce you to one of my new clients here, right? That I give a play Saturday, right? he instantly became the guy that doesn't play the winners and only play the losers. I called him out on it, right? We go 4-3 or whatever Saturday, and he's like, well, I hope this is very disappointing. I hope tomorrow's better, right? Now, mind you, one of those 4-3s was a plus 165. Okay? So we go 4-0 yesterday. Of course, crickets. I send the plays out to him today, and he bitches that there's only 2 plays. Like, really? Would you like me to force some other plays for you? Force some others plays. Like, people are fucking crazy. Anyway, so that's that as far as college basketball today. That will be my college basketball talk for the day. Anyway, off to hockey. We got some games. We got one client play that we're not going to talk about. All right. You know what amazes me on 5 Dimes? That they allow you to bet these games with the pro teams against the college teams, right? There was like 7 of them up, right? And so I put all 7 in a parlay. Now, obviously, some of these lines are a little ridiculous, like Milwaukee minus 2,000. You know, the Red Sox against Northeastern minus 2,600. Phillies the other day minus 1,700. So you put them all in a parlay. And what I did, I left a couple spots open to close out with some other easy ones. And now at this point, I got plus 250 on this parlay that it pays. And I still got one team to add. I mean, the baseball is basically free money. And you can hedge as the week goes on because these games are all during the week. You can hedge at real minimum money because you're getting paid out at 10-1 on your odds. I mean, I just don't understand how they're making any money putting these lines out whatsoever. I guess a lot of people like to bet the dogs, but in all reality, it's just free money. Also, clients, baseball clients, our first baseball plays of the year, preseason plays, as you know, we go like a half unit on them. Those have been sent for tomorrow. College baseball been rolling very good, and if you guys want to get on board, not only do you only have about 2 weeks left, wow, another error, but there's limited spots here as well, and Northeastern is dead, I would say, after the fourth error. So there you go. Like I said, so you hedge the Northeastern because it's the next one up at 10-1. So I hedge, a little bit, a tenth of the unit that I bet it on. So it doesn't really take anything off the pay. Very easy to hedge as you go along. And that's that. But if you can find those, do those. If you guys are on 5 dimes, there's still a bunch left. Take all the pro teams against the college teams, put them in a parlay, leave a couple spots open, and fill them accordingly with some good favorites. But get the wins first. Either way, hockey tonight. Arizona-Pittsburgh is going to be the first one we talk about. Arizona Coyotes come strolling into Pittsburgh. Coyotes just have not been playing good, have not been scoring. I've actually forgot to look this up because I'm still waiting to bet this. But either way, you look at Pittsburgh, playing decent, win-loss type thing. But when these two get together in recent history, 5, 6, 7 years or whatever, they usually play low-scoring games. And if they don't, it's usually because Pittsburgh scores goals. And for whatever reason, you guys can laugh at it or what, but in hockey, there's certain teams that just don't play good in certain buildings. And it will go on for years. It was like when the Islanders played the Rangers. They could not win out on the island, Or I remember when Pittsburgh owned Boston, and Boston couldn't win in Pittsburgh for years. We were on a trend there where we had Anaheim because what was the game the other night? I forget who was in there, but regardless, maybe it was Edmonton. Edmonton hasn't won in Anaheim in 20 tries. It just works out that way. And here you got an Arizona team that, home or away against Pittsburgh, just doesn't put good numbers up. Usually no more than 2 goals. They either put up 1 or 2 goals a game. That's it. You look at this offense of Arizona in their last 4 games on this road trip, and this is the last game of a 5-game road trip. Terrible spot for them. They're exhausted, obviously. They haven't scored more than 2 goals in a game. The total's sitting at 5.5. That's a pretty high total. The 5.5's high. The one thing that concerns me a little bit is the fact that Pittsburgh they could get to 4, and it could be 4-2. You look at Arizona, the team total at 2.5 is not a bad play at this point. The juice on the 5.5 actually is up to 145. If I was to play that, I'd probably just buy it down to 5 and play under 5 at plus 10. But the solid play here is the under 2.5. Maybe if you don't like laying the juice, although sometimes you got to lay a little bit of juice in hockey. It's a solid play. It's a solid play. It's a free play for me. We have one client play later, but it's a solid play. Next game, Calgary at Philadelphia, and Calgary has been a major over team lately. Scoring goals, allowing goals. Same thing with Philly. They've been putting the puck in the net. They've also allowed 2 or more goals in most of, a lot of their games. Same thing with Calgary here. So initially, looking at this, I liked the over. It was 5.5 though. Looking in a little deeper into the series, going further back, when Philadelphia plays Calgary, same type of situation here. And we're going back 10 years here, 10, 15 years. Most games go under. 80% of the games go under, as a matter of fact. 2-1 in their most recent meeting. So because of that, this would be a no play for me. Philly's coming on strong, though. Calgary has the second worst power play in the league, though. But they have the worst defense in the league. They're giving up over 3 goals a game. On average, if you play against Calgary, whoever's playing Calgary, if you play that team total over 2.5, on average, they're allowing that many goals. So just something to think about going forward.